Welcome one more day to Life ENArmonya. Who and what is now watching through you? Are you aware that you are not your thoughts or your emotions? Do you realize there is an openness, a consciousness which somehow is always present? If you do, don't just leave it, don't just miss the point, because that's the entrance, that's the essence that can lead us to a greater realization, which even most spiritualities are missing nowadays. Many people speak about the witness and pure consciousness, and they say we all are one, and yet they don't realize that consciousness must be reconnected to a deeper degree of will and consciousness and conscience, which puts us in relation with a greater whole, a whole full of life and intelligence. What in ancient times was known as the Father of Lights and Universal Mother. So we have to think properly. Don't just think this is an Advaita Vedanta teaching or a Buddhist meditation or a yogic reunion with Brahma and all these ideas. There is truth in every mysticism or in every religion. Most teachings drink from an original teaching. But it's time to go back to the original. And you might wonder, where is that? Well, that was taught 2,000 years ago, and it was demonstrated in a very simple but not easy to understand teaching. Yeshua, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christos, as they would say in Greek, was the manifestation of the full teaching on will, conscience, life, light. We are the light of the cosmos, he said. I am the light of the cosmos, you are the light of the cosmos. That light has gradations, and there is a portion of light which became trapped, and we find that light in every living being, even in every rock. Rocks are somehow conscious. Think that just as vapor becomes water, and water even becomes crystal in ice, so our spirit degraded itself into a soul psychic realm, and it finally became incarnated into different creatures. I'm speaking about the Adamic spirit which fell, and according to ancient teachings this was the origin of many living beings from which descend animals and even humanity, of course. But it's time to reconnect with an original spirit or light which was never fallen. And this light is pulsating in us. There is a sort of claim. Who are you? Are you just that sort of empty consciousness some spiritual teachings are claiming? You are the void, and the void is full of love and acceptance. But then we fall into depression again. I have been investigating those types of teachings, and in the end I ended up empty. It came a point in which I wanted to disappear forever, commit mystic suicide. But it's time to go back to the originals, so you can be filled with life and light, true light, reconnecting with what Master Isho called the father, the mother, the son, and the daughter. That's the full teaching. The father is the will, that point in the middle of the monad, as it was represented by the Pythagoreans, or in Kabbalistic teachings, the sphere of Keter. Keter is the crown with a dot. That dot is not usually understood in traditional Kabbalah, because they think it's just the crown, the wheel. But this crown is something that the Holy Father and Mother wants to give us. We were given the possibility of having a crown and rule in our lives as kings of our mind, our heart, our body. But in order to rule, we need to develop our vital purpose. And this purpose is a sphere in itself. It's a whole domain of development. What is the purpose of your life? Are you just here to live, enjoy, suffer, and then dissolve into the absolute? That doesn't make sense. You came here to become whole, and you need to go through darkness in order to be whole. Otherwise, you wouldn't be whole. Wholeness implies going through partial stages of self-knowledge. We must go through ignorance and pain and understand that. As I said, there was a portion of light that became fragmented. That portion of light is known as the daughter Sophia, the wisdom of the world. Sophia, the wisdom, was in the beginning with G.I.Gurdjieff, says King Solomon in Proverbs 9. But Sophia, which is the wisdom of the serpent office, built up her own house, raised her 7 pillars, laid her table, killed her victims, mixed her wines. There were beings who, having that primal consciousness, did not fully understand the interconnection of everyone and everything. And they began to manipulate life. This is why they develop a world within the great cosmos. And that broken world is known as the Tree of Knowledge. It's not the Tree of Lives, but sometimes looks like the Tree of Lives. In the Tree of Knowledge, we have fragments, fractals, fractality. In the Tree of Lives, we have an holarchy. Every component is an holon, a whole. There are no hierarchies. There are holarchies within holarchies, and each component can be a manifestation of the whole. This does not mean we are gods, as some people say. In our human state, there is still a long way to be fully sons of God on earth and be fully divine, of course. We can say God is our being. He, she gave us the will, life. Mother life is in us. Father will is in us. The mind that discerns would be the Son, the reconciliator. Not everyone has the Son. Some people have the Prince, the fallen Prince. And we all have the Princess. The Princess is the fallen soul, like Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, the 7 centers. Who poisoned Snow White? The stepmother, which, in this case, that which could be a collection of fallen architects. But it's not a question of blaming them. We are not blaming or accusing. We are remembering and taking responsibility of our true role in this cosmos. We have to reintegrate ourselves into the holarchic tree of lives from the tree of knowledge. So we are accepting and reharmonizing this tree of knowledge in our body. Therefore, we have to observe our mind, our heart, our body, and understand all this is pure light in essence, because there cannot be anything apart from light in itself. But light can be condensed. There are many degrees of vibrations, and therefore many degrees of matter. Density of matter and density of vibration is a distinction that fascinated me a long time ago when I read fragments of an unknown teaching by Ouspensky, who was a pupil of Gurdjieff. And they were teaching about how the vibrations can be quickened or slowed down. When you slow down the vibrations, you get a denser reality, a denser matter. The density of matter increases. The density of vibration decreases. And vice versa. When the density of vibration increases, the density of matter decreases. So, depending on the frequency of our mind and our heart, we are going to be experiencing a greater wholeness in ourselves, or a lesser wholeness. It depends on how much are we able to pay attention and think properly. So let's wonder again, who is really watching in you? Who is watching your thoughts or your emotions? Can thoughts and emotions watch themselves? And what kind of intelligence can understand the whole process of self-deception, or those painful feelings that do not let us think properly? Is there such an intelligence? Of course. There is a silent, loving awareness which can also remember the connection with the original monad, holarchic monad. I say monad because it was an idea that came from the Hebrew wisdom, and it was inherited by the Pythagoreans. In Hebrew it's called Yehid, the one, which generates Echad, unicity. Echad has the same value as Ahava, which means love. And love is the interconnecting force. I don't mean eros, which is erotic passion. Ahava has to do with what in ancient times was called agape. Conscious love is caring for others, caring for you, caring for life. This interconnection of life is what is required according to the divine will. And there is a beautiful teaching in the New Testament about that. It says, we are the mother. Yeshua says, we are the mother when we follow the will of the Father. That is very beautiful, because the mother is no longer Pachamama or nature, which is actually fallen nature. There is so much cruelty in this nature that we cannot call her mother. It's a stepmother that gave us a body that dies and is full of passions. There is nothing evil in that. This is not Gnosticism as it was understood in ancient times. The original teachings of the Master were not Gnostic in the sense many think of Gnosticism. The Gospel of Thomas, or the Testament of Thomas, the Testament of Philip, the Testament of Mary Magdalene, was more in tune with the Nazarene teachings. Netzarim were the branches, and they called themselves the way, Derek. But there is a way of death and a way of life. The way of death is full of lies, and therefore we have to be very careful how we think about ourselves, about others, about our perception. Who is perceiving? If we are seeing a world full of distress and we feel it in ourselves, we are missing something, because liberation is at hand. This does not mean we are not going to suffer. This does not mean we are not going to feel pain. This does not mean we are not going to be in great trouble when we get into contact with this teaching. We will be. There will be tests, but it's not the same when you assume there is a purpose, there is a meaning, and we have to open ourselves to that greater meaning. Question yourself always. Don't think you have all the answers. Be willing to learn, to receive more and more, and realize the intelligence, the divine intelligence, is looking for you even before you are looking for her, him. We have an essence, a consciousness which is the daughter. It's full of intelligence, but this intelligence can be twisted unless there is a sort of masculinity, mental discernment that can lead the thoughts properly. And there is a motherhood, an interconnection, a caring, loving energy which can connect us to compassion for others. Self-forgiveness, but also learning how not to tolerate everything. We have to establish limits sometimes. And therefore we cannot establish limits without divine will. There is only one will. And as even the philosopher Kant said, there is a mystery in will, because will is good without restriction. It's not something we inherited from this biological nature, which is animal. Will can help us overcome all passions and deceptions. It's a very enigmatic force which can lead us to the pure essence of integrity. And this integrity is what makes us whole again, manifesting this abundance. We are whole in essence, but we must manifest wholeness in personality as well. There is no point in speaking about this if I'm not going to live it fully. Just think about it. Leave your questions and your comments, please. Support this channel, share with those who you might think can receive this message. There is another channel in Spanish, another one of music, ENArmonya music clips, and there is also a channel called Vital ENArmonya with fragments of courses that I taught 7 years ago. That can be useful, but this project keeps expanding. I'm developing activities and therapeutic concerts here in Spain, in the north of Spain, Galicia. And you are welcome if you are around here. It's a beautiful place, and I hope the Holy One will keep us in tune with this divine purpose in these difficult times of absolute madness and deception all over. But if we are here, is that there is hope. So, I hope you are well. There you have information in the web, Vital ENArmonya. You have the blog, where I will be publishing new articles recently. And meanwhile, let's keep unifying mind, heart, and body to express the love without limits, life without fragmentation, integral consciousness, and deep, blissful serenity.